last lesson. And we'll make some applications on that day, how we can take Exodus and look at how it looks forward to whenever the new covenant comes, when Jesus is here, the church is established. And those exciting. How exciting Exodus is in that regard, looking forward to it. Filled with a lot of details, you would agree, I think, that Exodus has a tremendous amount of details that you start reading and kind of, well, I'll finish that later. But the detail to me, is just impressive. What God requested of his people, commanded them to do. And indeed, we're going to see that Moses and the people did as God commanded. Thus the title, Just as the Lord Commanded. You may recall last week, we ended up with when Moses' face would shine, show the glory of God, if you will, when he would speak to his people, and then he would cover it when he finished speaking to them, and then would go back, and when he went back to see God, or talk with God, he'd uncover his face. Eventually that particular shining, if you will, faded, and so then we saw that, we see that where we're at right now is that Moses has gathered all of the Israelite community together, and he's going to start, some exciting things are going to start. They're going to become industrious in the sense that they're going to start building all these things that God has commanded them to build. If I could put you in the mood and the mindset and the imagination, there's a buzz going throughout the entire community of the people of Israel. There's excitement because things are going to start happening. The people are going to be busy. They're going to be focused. And some of the things that have just happened to them are going to become memories of the past. Some of those folks that created the rebellion that was going on are no longer with them. And so it's just going to be an exciting time coming up for these people. So before we get started again, let's go to our Father in prayer. Lord, thank you for this morning. Thank you for our lives that you give us and the blessings that come our way. Lord, we're so grateful to be here, to be able to study your word. And I ask for special guidance that as I relate your word to this class and to those online, that they can see the imagery, they can see the message, they can see the feelings of humanity at that time, the people, your people, experienced as they transition from a group that's wandering about to a group that's focused on you. We're so grateful for this opportunity. And in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Turn over to Exodus 35. Scroll over to it. The fascinating part about this is I feel when I read through, I get to this, I see a change. I see a transition to a people that's focused on what our purpose is. And I see Moses, a man I have grown to admire during this study, becoming much more of a leader, a strong leader, that took him a while to get to. Some people say that leaders are born, and others say that they are taught. I'm not here to argue that one way or the other, but I do know history has shown that throughout history, people have stood up and taken control, if you will, been a leader at a time when needed. And so Moses is doing that. He's taking, yes, he was chosen by God. God trained him. Remember, he has spent about 80 days personally up on a mountaintop with God on 2 different sessions. He's gotten to know God to the point they are reasoning with one another. They're talking to one another as a friend talks face to face. And so Moses, he's become a stronger leader. I can't think of anybody who doesn't like being part of an organization that's run by a strong, fair, and just leader. I know there are people that are rebellious and they're willing to go against some of that, but just in general, most people really do appreciate having a strong leader that they can follow. So let's get back into Exodus. These people are here at Mount Sinai. They're in the desert. They're getting ready to get busy. And Moses gathered all the Israelite community together and said to them, so he brought them before them and was talking to them, these are the things the Lord has commanded you to do. You are to work for 6 days, but the seventh day will be a holy day, a Sabbath of rest to honor the Lord. Everyone who works on that day must be put to death. On the Sabbath day you must not light a fire in any of your houses. How many times has he mentioned the Sabbath day in the book of Exodus? Several times, right? This seems to be important to God. Not seems, it is important to God. He's given rules for it. I don't know what you can take from it other than the Sabbath is here. Let's do what God says. And so he's given these rules. He's asked them to take the Sabbath. He's commanded them to take the Sabbath day as a rest. And remember, the nations around them don't do that. The nations around them are saying, oh, you guys are taking Sabbath off. Or Saturday, or whatever they called it back then. You're taking that day off. We're not. But yet, God's people did take it off. And there were some rules that or some consequences that would happen if you worked on that day. You were put to death. It's interesting to me that there are people who insist that today the Sabbath is something that Christians are to observe. That is, the meeting on Saturday, the seventh day of the week, as opposed to the first day of the week. But yet many of them will meet in the morning. I know some personally that will insist they go to, be a part of their worship community on Saturday, and then that evening, that afternoon, they're working somewhere. So if you're going to bring in the old law and insist that you follow it, well, it says anyone who works on the Sabbath is put to death. Wouldn't quite go over today in our laws. But yet people insist that the Sabbath is something for us today, but it's clearly between God and his people at that time. That covenant that he made with them, that these people are not going to work on the Sabbath. He wants them to rest. But the rest of the nations around them, they were working hard on the Sabbath just as they have always done. Moses in verse 4 says to all the Israelites after he established the rules of the Sabbath, this is what the Lord has commanded, he says. From what you have, okay, everybody in here, just look at what you have, the possessions you own. Some of us have more than others. Some of us just have a lot of, you seen my garage lately? We are collectors. I like to say that I collect power tools. I got a pretty good museum of them. I also like to collect electronic stuff that are related to computers. I could open up a museum. Commodore 128, anybody remember that? Luckily I don't have that, but I did it one time. Moses says, from what you have, take an offering for the Lord. But he's not wanting my old stuff. All right, listen to what he's asking for. Let everyone who is willing bring this offering to the Lord. Also notice the word there, willing. I've heard some incorrectly claim that God said you will give a tenth of everything and therefore you just got to do it. Well, this clearly, while he did ask for a tenth, here he clearly says, willing to do it, willing to bring this offering to it. So if you look at these people and you see, we're going to see how willing they were. The lesson I take away from this immediately is if I sit there as a leader of a congregation and say, I want everyone in here to give me a X amount specific, and I will track your giving, I believe I am wrong. But when I say to you that the church needs a free will gift, give from your heart, I believe the church will give more than is needed. I have never been to a place where there was never anything given yet. Maybe that'll happen someday. I don't know. But here, he clearly lays out, let everyone who is willing bring this offering to the Lord. And you know, this list looks quite familiar to Exodus 25, 3 through 7. Let's look at it. See if we left out anything on that list originally. There's going to be a couple of things that are given in a different order, but it's the same stuff. Gold, silver, bronze, blue, purple, and red thread, and fine linen, goat hair, and male sheepskins that are colored red. They may also bring fine leather, acacia wood, and you'll see also. Well, we'll get into that in just a second when we get there as far as that fine leather. Verse 8, olive oil for the lamp, spices for the special olive oil, used for appointing priests and for the sweet-smelling incense. Onyx stones and other jewels to be put on the holy vest and chest covering of the priest. All that stuff's in that list that was given in chapter 25. The people are being told, willingly give. Those who want to give. Verse 10, let all the skilled workers come and make everything the Lord commanded. Then he's going to give a list of this stuff that they're going to make. I mean, can you just feel the buzz that's going on in that audience there that Moses is talking to? What? We're going to build this stuff? I have the skills to do this. Oh, I'm thinking through it. I've got bronze I can give. I mean, there's a lot of people out here. They got a lot of stuff. Remember when they left Egypt, even the Egyptians gave them things. Would you guys leave? Here's some stuff. Go. They left Egypt with the wealth of a tremendous wealth from Egypt. And so these folks are to look among themselves and give. And what are they going to use this stuff for? This materials list. They're going to build the holy tent, its outer tent and its covering, the hooks, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases. The ark of the agreement or covenant, its poles, lid, and the curtain in front of it. The table and its poles and all the things that go with the table, and the bread that shows that we are in the presence of God. The lampstand for the light and all the things that go with it, the lamps and olive oil for the light. The altar of incense and its poles, the special oil and the sweet-smelling incense, the curtain for the entrance of the meeting tent, and the altar of burnt offering and its bronze screen, its poles and all its tools, the bronze bowl and its bases. And can't you just think of the people out there going, I can build that. Dad, I can build that. Mom, I can build that. Mom, I can sew this. The excitement that must be building, that Moses is building just by giving a materials list and what we're going to make. The curtains around the courtyard, their posts and bases, and the curtain at the entry of the courtyard, the pegs of the holy tent and of the courtyard and their ropes, the special clothes that the priest will wear in the holy place. These are the holy clothes for Aaron, the priest, and his sons to wear when they serve as priests. Look at all the stuff they're going to make. When it describes the holy tent, I'm thinking about, I've got a tent in my trailer and seldom put it up, but I do have a tent. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I got all this stuff in my tent. Not quite the same, but it's basically a tent structure that everyone has put up, if you put up a tent, that is. Not everyone enjoys tent camping. But there's this buzz. I'm thinking I could build, what could I work? I'd like to work on the acacia wood, personally. I like making sawdust. So it's something that I would love to work with. Well, someone else says, well, I can work with metal. I like to take bronze and work it, kind of thing. Someone else says, I love working with jewelry. I had a friend who actually built jewelry, and he when he started talking about it, his eyes it was amazing. To me, I just wanted to go away because he's so excited about it. Because I don't have that same excitement building jewelry. I like to look at it. I like to buy it for my wife. She has a good collection of them. I enjoy finding what she likes. I just don't like making it. Others do. And so you have all this talent in this congregation there that's before Moses. Verse 20. The excitement is building. Then all the people of Israel went away from Moses. Everyone who wanted to give, everyone, let me repeat that, who wanted to give, came and brought a gift to the Lord for making the meeting tent. All the things in the tent and the special clothes. All the men and women who wanted to give brought gold, jewelry of all kinds, pins, earrings, rings, and bracelets. They all presented their gold to the Lord. Everyone who had blue, purple, and red thread and fine linen, and anyone who had goat hair or male sheepskins colored red or fine leather brought them to the Lord. I can only tell you I would not have blue and purple thread. That's just not my thing. My wife would probably have it, but I don't. I might have some really rough rope that I like to tie knots with. Might come in useful later. Everyone who could give silver or bronze brought that as a gift to the Lord. And everyone who had acacia wood to be used in the work brought it. Every skilled woman used her hands to make the blue, purple, and red thread and fine linen. They brought what they had made. They made it. All the women who were skilled and wanted to help made thread of the goat hair. The leaders brought onyx stones and other jewels to put on the holy vest and chest covering for the priest. They also brought spices and olive oil for the sweet-smelling incense, the special oil, the oil to burn in the lamps. All the men and women of Israel who wanted to help, key word there, wanted to help, brought gifts to the Lord for all the work the Lord had commanded Moses and the people to do. You think there were people who didn't want to help? I think there was. Unless human nature was different back then, there are people who are just motivated to help, and there are people who are just motivated not to help. Now, your goal as an organization is to have more people who are motivated to help than don't want to help. And the reason for that is if your organization is completely full of people who are motivated not to help, what happens to the organization? It dies, correct. Thank you for saying that. It dies. And so I've had people say to me, well, you guys down there are always asking me to help. You want me to help. Well, we want you to help. We want you to want to help. But more importantly, though, is leadership in a congregation. You want very strongly to ensure that the entire group is participating as best as they can. And you can come back to this example. The entire people, the Israelite people, were asked to give what they could, what they wanted to, what their skills were related to these objects, these items that were going to be used in the building of this tent. And I got a picture that's going to at least illustrate what it looked like when they were done. Then Moses, in verse 30, said to the Israelites, look, I just wonder what his tone of voice was. I mean, I'd love to hear a recording of that. I've had the opportunity to study research a man named Marshall Keeble, who was a very prolific speaker in the South among our black brethren. He was very he was skilled in a way that caused people to come to the Lord. Churches were established by his work. And so I started looking. I wonder what he sounded like. And I actually found some recordings of his preaching. And of course, not the high-tech recordings that we have today, where it's clear and all that kind of stuff. It was much like the 78s of old, If anybody remembers those, I'm going through a process where I'm digitizing all my dad's 78s. And it's kind of like, boy, that's a good performance. But the quality of the sound is just down a little bit. But it's just an exciting performance. But hearing him speak, you could see why people were attracted to him because of his ability. But more importantly, his reasoning skills, how he reasoned, allowed me to understand why people were attracted to the word. And so Moses is sitting there before these people, standing before these people. He says, look, the Lord has chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, from the tribe of Judah. The Lord has filled Bezalel with the Spirit of God and has given him the skill, ability, and knowledge to do all kind of work. How many years did you go to college to learn, or trade school to learn a skill? And God gives it to you. What a privilege. This is what he's able to do. He is able to design pieces to be made of gold, silver, and bronze, to cut stones and jewels and put them in metal, to carve wood and do all kinds of work. He's going to be your resident artisan expert. An artisan is one who is able to especially do things with his hand. Beautiful things. You know, everyone is attracted to things that are lovely, I think. You know, and of course, then somebody responds, well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you betcha it is. That's why there's more than one style of things, you know. Each one has his own understanding of what beauty is, but this man can show you how to cut that stone, and then you can put it in any way that you want it to make it look. Also in verse 34, also the Lord has given Bezalel and Oholiab, the son of Amishak, from the tribe of Dan. So you got two tribes involved. They have two representatives, Dan and Judah. And this is cool. If you think it's important just to be able to build something, it is. However, the ability to teach others, as it says here, God has given them the ability to teach others. How many of you been in a class where a teacher was less than able? I know I have. I've been in them. And I've been in some that the teacher is just amazing. In that year you spent in that class seemed like a day and a half. They have the ability to teach others. Can you imagine the people that want to learn these skills? They're going to sit at his feet. They're going to listen. They're going to study how he does it. One of my grandsons who practices trumpet once told me that it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes forever. And so you can cut wood wrong. I've done that. But if you cut it right and you figure out, oh, that's right, and you do it again, that skill stays with you. And you get the same results each time you do it. Also, the Lord has given them the skill to do all kinds of work. So not only can they can teach. They are able to cut, remember he's saying these two men, they are able to cut designs in metal and stone. They can plan. They can sew designs in the fine linen with the blue, purple, and red thread. They are also able to weave things. Okay, these two men are able to sew. These two men are able to weave. We stereotypically say women weave and women sew, is what we've done over the years. All I can tell you is my mother taught me how to sew and crochet and knit. It can be done, guys. It can be done. I used to make little clothes for the large G.I. Joe doll. Remember those guys? The big ones? Only because my parents would not buy the commercial stuff. So you could find patterns for it. I used to do that. These two men had that skill. God doesn't ask for something and not give you the skill for it, or give someone in your group the skill for it. So, chapter 36. Can't you just feel the buzz going in the people of Israel at this time? We're going to do all this stuff. God's given us this guy. What can I do? The enthusiasm. So, Bezalel, Oholiab, and every skilled person will do the work God has commanded, because he gave them the wisdom and understanding to do all the skilled work needed to build the holy temple. Makes sense, doesn't it? God wants something. Man usually says, "Yeah, I'm not as talented as I can't. I don't think I can do that." But God gives the skills, ability, and knowledge. Yep, you can do it. Then Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab and all the other skilled people to whom the Lord had given skills. And they came, read this, they came because they wanted to help with the work. There's a difference between wanting to help and, okay, I'll be there. I better be there or somebody will think lowly of me. I want to help. Yeah, I'm busy. Who in here doesn't have a busy life? I know my wife's retired and she tells me she's busier than she was when she was working. I know she is. I'm looking forward to that day when I'm busier than when I'm working. Come in March. I'll let you know about it. Everybody's busy. But are you wanting to help in a way that the Lord's church is glorified in this area? Do you want to help? I'll make time. I'll be there. It takes time to be here on Sunday morning to worship with the congregation. It takes time. Are you willing to give that time? It says here, they came because they wanted to help with the work. They received from Moses everything the people of Israel had brought as gifts to build the holy temple. The people continued, get this, the people continued to bring gifts each morning because they just want, I better do it because Moses will talk to me. No, it says they wanted to. They wanted to. So all the skilled workers left the work they were doing on the holy temple, and they said to Moses, "Hey Moses, can you see this? Can you picture this? Work stoppage. Hey guys, let's go talk to Moses. Man, they keep coming every morning. Moses, the people are bringing more than we need to do the work the Lord commanded. We are overwhelmed, Moses. We got stuff. It's piling up. We can't find another cabinet to put it in. You ever had that problem in your garage? Where do I put this one? It's just full." Then Moses sent this command throughout the camp. Oh, I'd love to say, as an elder, be able to have to put this command out to the congregation. "No man or woman shall make anything else as a gift for the holy tent." So the people were kept from giving more because what they had was already more than enough to do all the work. Can you imagine the elders coming to the congregation? "Hey, no more giving. We just got too much. We got enough to last us for 100 years." What a problem to have. You can see the enthusiasm the people at this time had. There was a buzz among them. We got a purpose. We're going forward. We're going to build the things that God has commanded. Then the skilled workers, verse 8, then the skilled workers made the holy tent. Just look at that for a moment. This is the final product, or at least an artist's rendition of what the final product of that tent looked like. We'll see the insides here in a little bit. This is important. for the next how many hundred years, this is going to be a very important structure for the people of Israel. Very important. Then the skilled workers made the holy tent. They made the 10 curtains of blue, purple, red cloth, and they sewed designs of creatures with wings on the curtains. Each curtain was the same size, 42 feet long and 6 feet wide. Remember, King James talks about cubits. It's not exactly known what exactly a cubit is. It's about like this. And so this translation actually gives a specific measurement. 5 of the curtains were fastened together to make one set, and the other 5 were fastened together to make another set. Then they made loops of blue cloth along the edge of the end curtain on the first set of 5, and they did the same thing with the other set of 5. There were 50 loops on one curtain and 50 loops on the other curtain, with the loops opposite each other. They made 50 gold hooks to join the 2 curtains together so that the holy tent was joined together as one piece. When I peel back this onion, if you will, this tent, that's the inner covering, if you will, would have looked something like that. Of course, I can't zoom in and see all the winged creatures on it, but it would look something like that. It's fine linen. It just was probably beautiful. I mean, the handwork on that was just probably amazing. Let's see. Then the workers made another tent of 11 curtains made of goat hair to put over the holy tent. All 11 curtains were the same size, 45 feet long, 6 feet wide. The workers sewed 5 curtains together into one set and 6 together in another set. They made 50 loops along the edge of the outside curtain of one set, 50 loops along the edge of the outside curtain of the other set. They made 50 bronze rings to join the 2 sets of cloth together, made the tent one piece. They made 2 more coverings for the outer tent, one more of male sheep colored red, and the other made of fine leather. So, here's the goat hair. Probably whitish, is put over that inner tent. Here's the red, the male sheep skins colored red. And then the last one, this, it talks about fine leather. If you go over to King James, it talks about coverings of badger skins above that. And based on some of the research I've done, especially, overall research, but I've also used as a resource this particular document developed by Rose Publishing, Rose Guide to the Tabernacle. But it said that the badger, porpoising, or sea cow skin covering, the Hebrew word there is tahash, T-A-H-A-S-H, is very difficult to translate. And so most scholars agree that it refers to the skin of some kind of aquatic animal. Now, you go, well, they're in the desert. How could they have gotten that? But if you look at where Mount Sinai and the probability of where they're at, the Red Sea is just that way, a few miles. They could have easily gotten down there and gotten those guys. As the outer layer, the leather skin protected the tabernacle tent from rain or morning dew. So you're looking at this. This is a structure that can be taken down, put back up. Every tent I've ever owned took time to put up and take down. And you always were hurrying when you take it down, it seemed like, because you wanted to go and it was raining. You know, ever been there? And so they made this covering. But wait, there's more. These folks are busy. Then they made upright frames of acacia wood. A little more interior there. You can see where they've added. Then they made upright frames of acacia wood from the holy tent. Each frame was 15 feet tall and 27 inches wide, and there were 2 pegs side by side on each one. Every frame of the holy tent was made the same way. They made 20 frames for the south side of the tent. They made 40 silver bases that went under the 20 frames. There were 2 bases for every frame, 1 for each peg of each frame. They also made 20 frames for the north side of the holy tent and 40 silver bases, 2 to go under each frame. They made 6 frames for the rear or the west end of the holy tent and 2 frames for the corners at the rear of the holy tent. These 2 frames were doubled at the bottom and joined at the top with a metal ring. I don't know, but I found that fascinating from a construction point of view. They did this for each of those corners. So there were 8 frames and 16 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame. If you're into constructing something, this is kind of cool. Can you imagine the drawing that was done for that? I know I like to envision something I'm going to build, and so I'll sit down and sketch it out, then I'll try to make it a little more accurate. And then when I go to build it, oh, I forgot that. But the work that it took to get that, all by hand. But wait, there's more. Then they made crossbars of acacia wood to connect the upper frames of the holy temple. 5 crossbars held the frames together on one side of the tent, and 5 held the frames together on the other side. Also, 5 crossbars held the frames together on the west end and at the rear of the tent. They made the middle crossbars run along the entire length of each side and rear of the tent. It was set halfway up the frames. They made gold rings on the sides of the frames to hold the crossbars, and they covered the frames and the crossbars with gold. I hope you're seeing the amount of industry that's going on here. The amount of work that had to be done to get to this point. Because this is going to establish something for many years to come. Verse 35. Then they made the curtain of blue, purple, and red thread and fine linen. A skilled craftsman sewed designs of creatures with wings on it. They made 4 posts of acacia wood for it and covered them with gold. They made gold hooks for the post, as well as 4 silver bases in which to set the post. Now the King James Version talks about the veil of blue. This is important. This veil is the one that got rent and separated when Christ died. This is when it was made, first time made. They made 4 posts of acacia wood and wood for it and covered them with gold. They made gold hooks for the post, as well as 4 silver bases in which to set the post. For the entrance to the tent, they made a curtain of blue, purple, and red thread and fine linen. A person who sewed well sewed designs on it. It certainly wasn't me. There's people that have skills that are amazing what they can do with sewing. And that's who they employed for this. Then they made 5 posts and hooks for it. They covered the tops of the posts and their bands with gold. They made 5 bronze bases for the posts. And you can see into it now. You can see what they built there. We'll talk about next week the implements that are in there that are very important. The amount of energy that went into this. It's hard to say the exact numbers of people that actually physically built, scraped wood, cut wood, sewed, weaved, pounded out metal, melted metal. But the entire nation brought gifts. They wanted to give. They were willing to give. They brought this from what they had. They willingly gave. That entire materials list that we've looked at, they willingly gave. And they gave so much, Moses had to say stop. And they produced this. Of course, this is an artist rendering. I wish there was a photo of it, of the real thing. Wouldn't that be amazing to see? My takeaway from this is that you may recall when Moses was first given this on the first 40 days that he spent on the mountain, the detail was overwhelming to some degree. I know for many, they just don't read that. It's a detail. To me, it's an exciting detail because God gave it. My takeaway is, what does God want? Well, here you can go back and read what God wanted. And the people had a choice to do as he commanded, willingly and wanting to do that. And I'm sure there were people there that just didn't want to participate. And I guess the question I would leave with you from this class, that you look into your heart and know that we're under the new covenant. God wants us to want to be a part of his congregation. He wants each one of us to do what we can within our skills, within our capabilities. But more importantly, he wants us to willingly want to be a part of his church. And so I leave you with that question, that message. To me, this is exciting to read this. I know it helps me in my life. Any comments? We got a few minutes left before you've been very patient with me, and I appreciate that. But any comments you'd like to make before we dismiss? Nothing? Dan, go ahead, please. Yeah, Dan was saying that it's amazing they packed all this stuff around in the desert with them. You know, no U-Haul or UPS to deliver it for us. I'm amazed too, because one of the observations that was brought to me several weeks ago, after one of the lessons we had, is the logistics. Where did they get all this stuff? You know, well, they brought it with them. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that the acacia wood, they were carrying around that acacia wood. I mean, what, did somebody have a wagon with a donkey pulling acacia wood? I don't know. I know I collect a lot of stuff. I was trying to illustrate that I collect things. I've got a lot of wood around the house. I got some of it's just sitting there waiting for something to happen so I can use it. And then a lot of it's projected to be burnt in my fire pit. But did you have people back then that just collected things? Hey, there's another acacia wood. Let's put that on the wagon. I think so. Human nature hasn't changed much. There are those of us who collect things. There are those of us who are, shall we say, just have a lot of stuff. Yes, in the back. Sorry. I'll see if I can summarize. But basically what you're suggesting is because they were slaves in Egypt, God gave them a choice at this location. If you come and work if you want to. And I think that is significant. I think that is the point that we should take away from that too. Eddie? Yeah. Eddie says he's just like them. He carries stuff around from place to place. Still got a lot of wood. Oak wood, you say? So if anybody's looking for oak, thank you.